goes with, if God's in me, if Christ is in me, if this is the hope of all glory, if this glory is better than anything they had in that Old Testament, like you said, preacher, how come my life is such a mess, and how come this, and how come that, and how come this? He says that God put the treasure. What's the treasure? Christ is the treasure. He's the glory of God. In Him are hidden all the treasures of God's wisdom and knowledge, according to Colossians chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And Christ is in me, so all the wisdom of God and the glory of God's inside of me. Yet I feel weak. Yet I make mistakes. Yet I fall. Why? So that I will never forget that the power in my life is not me. It's Christ in me, the hope of glory. God never wills for me to fail or fall or certainly sin, but when or if I sin or when or if I fall, it is a reminder of me that that's the way I would be every day, and worse without God in my life. And it sobers me up that, boy, it really is. All the good in my life is God. All the blessings in my life is God. I asked the Lord, that's where I got this truth out of 2 Corinthians 4. If all this is true that I'm even preaching, why do I feel this way sometimes? So that I will never forget that the excellency of the power is of God. Do you know, listen carefully, I'm going to quit. Don't use this against me. But I believe that God wills for you to see my humanity. I believe He wills for you to see me make mistakes. I believe He wills for you to see, not to condemn me, not to gossip against me, not to put me down, but for you to look and see and say, if God can use him, God can use you. If that man's blessed and he's not perfect, you can be blessed when you're not perfect after the flesh. Amen. God wills for every one of us to know that we know that we know every good thing in our life is Christ in us, the hope of glory. And everything in our ministries, in our church, in our homes, our families, is because of God. Without God, that's how come, if we see this, that's how come the love of God just is shed abroad in our hearts. That's why we don't put lost people down. That's why we don't condemn lost people. That's the way we would be without God. That's where we would be without God. I can't imagine where I'd be without God. While I can't feel it every day and I can't see the change, and I want so bad to be everything God's called me to be so I can bless you. Man, I look back 31 years ago, and every now and then Sue helps me look back 31 years ago. And she encourages me, and I'll be struggling with something, and she'll say, "You're doing fine, honey." I say, "What do you mean?" She says, "I met you. And when I met you, what a mess." I've changed. I'm changing. I haven't arrived, but thank God I've left. Some of you are always going, "I haven't arrived," but you haven't left. We need to leave. And this is the launching pad, Christ in you, the hope of all glory. The quicker you learn it, young people, the more prosperous you're going to be, the happier you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be, the more loving you're going to be. When you see Christ in you, the hope of all glory, it revolutionizes every part of your world. Amen?